And a viable system means that we have to have the strength to recognize that from time to time we're going to make mistakes, that from time to time we are not doing the right things. And that requires, from the part of the leadership, to leave their ego out.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Carlos, but then what are the key elements that this foundation need to have so our entrepreneurs can have an idea, right? What are the elements that they need to look at? Yeah. For example, I think that is key. One of the things that you say in the to have a strong foundation. One of the things that you just shared, that for you to become a leader yourself and for you to attract leaders to your organization, I think this is definitely one of the elements of what this strong foundation, bulletproof, tsunami proof, hurricane proof. One of the elements is the entrepreneur have to learn leadership skills, have to become a leader, and also attract leaders to the organization. But one more element, Carlos, the entrepreneur need to look at to make sure that they have very, very solid foundation before they move forward, because you're 100% right. It's going to fall. And that's the reason why 98% of the business are failing in the 0 to 1 journey, in the journey to make the first million. So, what more elements they need to look at?
Okay, that's fantastic, because what are we talking here largely is not only a viable, a living system, but also a viable system. And a viable system means that we have to have the strength to recognize that from time to time we're going to make mistakes, that from time to time we are not doing the right things. And that requires, from the part of the leadership, to leave their ego out and to say, yes, I'm going to listen, I'm prepared to share things, in the sense that if we need to change and transform ourselves and rediscover that we need a different path, we're not going to hesitate. And we have the same belief that we can make the necessary adjustment, the necessary correction, in order to continue our journey as a business.
And then, Professor, I'm glad you touched this, and let's expand a little bit more, because as an entrepreneur, people start you have that ego, okay? I think they all have ego. We all have ego at the beginning, because we believe that we can do it better than anybody else, and that's the main reason why we start a business. However, this ego is gonna become our biggest enemy if we don't manage, because it will be on the way for us to become a leader, and it cannot come from the position, okay, I'm the boss here, everybody has to do what I say, I call out the shots. Number one, because it's exhausted, and number two, because this don't empower leadership within the organization. So only that part can start to break the foundation, because I have seen, Carlos, honestly, I have seen CEOs, entrepreneurs, saying phrases like, "This is not my job." Well, sales and marketing, this is not my job. I'm just gonna focus in the product, and so, which is something that if you hear a CEO saying this is not my job, what do you think that the rest of the people in the organization are gonna say when it comes out a little bit of their scope? Oh, this is not my job either. So it becomes a spiral. So and it all comes regarding this ego, that we have to sometimes we have to surrender it, and we have to do something very difficult for a lot of entrepreneurs, which is give control to your team, to the other leaders of your organization, give them the capacity of decision making without you, and this is hard for the people. Let me tell you a story. Yeah, in my first business, the property business, we managed to sell over 5 million, and I remember I started to hire my team. Yeah, and I was so happy about my team because they were better than me at everything they do. Honestly, they were all better than me at everything. I thought that I was good at sales. No, they were selling their rooms better than me, and the operations and everything. I was so happy. I was telling everybody, my team is amazing. They are great. However, I was in the office, and they all used to come to me, Harry, what can I do with this? How can I do with this? Harry, I have this problem. Harry, I have this, I have that. And, there were too many. So it became really busy for me. So only for auto protect myself, yeah, I put a sign in the behind my desk where it says, don't come and don't ask me a question if you don't have the answer. Yeah. So then they will come and say, okay, I have this problem. Okay, what solution do you suggest? And they will say, well, I suggest these 3 solutions. And then I will tell, okay, choose one. Why shall I choose one? You came with the solution. You better than me at sales. So propose the solution, pick your favorite. We try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is nothing different than what I'm going to do myself. To the point that the team, they were even saying in the office, oh, don't go and ask Harry. Harry's useless. You need to come to your solution, choose yourself. So what's the point to go and ask him? They were even joking about this. But at some point, guess what happened? One day I go to the office and they tell me, Harry, go home. We don't need you here. And we can operate this business without you. Go on holiday if you want. So I make obsolete myself in my own business. The team literally sent me home because they could run, because they all have decision making. I made sure that they all have the control for the decision making, and I release control to them, to the way that they could actually operate the business and grow the business without me. And this is something beautiful that happened to me. And but if all becomes for that, Carlos, because if I'm this leader that say, well, everybody has to do what I say, then I still will be in the office. And then what's the point to do a business in the first place? And leadership, you talk a lot about leadership. The point of the leader is to generate new leaders and remove themselves. Look what happened in Latin America. A lot of leaders become dictatorship. They don't want to let go. They stay there, right? So and then they become themselves leaders. I doubt, but you know what I mean. So the point, Carlos, is that that if this is part of this foundation that you talk about, yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned this ego, because it have to do a lot how you transform and how you become, because you are in business. A lot of people start business by accident, even me, you have a product, you sell, you start to make money, and hey, you're in business. But one thing is, you are in business kind of by accident, or you selling your product. Completely different is build this strong foundation, and completely different has to be this transition for you to become leader. So what is your view on this, Carlos? And
let me explore that, because that is music to my ear. And you will love this, because I'm a professor of new science. In fact, I have made 3 scientific contributions. One is new science, which intertwine ancient wisdom with the emerging new science of the 21st century, namely neuroplasticity, epigenetic, quantum physics, living and viable systems, human conductivity, which is another of my scientific contribution, which is to do with energy field. Now, what you have just elaborated in terms of your amazing experience on the ego and control is what I have now developed the science for conscious human-to-human empowerment. So I am now putting a little label to the experience that you had, and your experience was through going in a journey of transformation where you become conscious that the best way forward was to empower others. And you have the power to empower other people. Yes. And that I call conscious human-to-human empowerment. Yeah. Human-to-human empowerment, it means that the leader goes through the process where, as you said, it doesn't really now run the company on an ego-controlled trip. Yes. It means now that you become involved in something that could be described as making sure that your colleagues understand that they have to self-organize themselves, they have to manage themselves, and as you said, they need to think about what will be the solution. And that, most important, you need to create trust for them really to trust you, that you will listen and you will build out of their own contribution, and you will create this self-belief on them that you are open, that you are able to give them the necessary tools, but most important, that they feel empowered by you. Yes. And this is what I call conscious human-to-human empowerment. So a business that doesn't focus on the human dimensions, and this is what I call co-designing your business, focusing on human dimensions. For example, validation and recognition of your team, of your colleagues. Yes. For example, as well, to share the concept, the meaning, and work together for a common understanding. This is what I call designing your business in the context of putting the human dimensions as the key way of empowering. So, for example, as well, to share the solutions. Yes. So they are part of creating the condition for mutual validation between the teams, meaning in the case that you have, and again, this is all to do with your organization, because if the organization is based on the usual silos and there is no interaction between the different departments, then you will have very narrow boxes going on. So that's another important thing, is not to pigeonhole people and somehow curtail their potential. So I completely follow you, Harry, with your description of the experience you have. You, without knowing, were practicing my new science. You were practicing conscious.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.